Before this day ends, watch this. Not because something bad will happen if you don't, not because this video has special power, and not because I'm trying to scare you, but because there is something many people carry to bed every night without realizing it: a weight, a pressure, a quiet exhaustion that follows them from morning to night. Maybe you felt it too. You go through the day doing what needs to be done. You work, you help others, you handle responsibilities, you keep moving. But when everything becomes quiet, something inside you starts asking questions. Am I doing enough? Will things ever get better? Did I make the right choices? Why does everything feel so uncertain? Most people try to escape those questions. They scroll a little longer, watch another video, find another distraction, anything to avoid sitting alone with their thoughts. But before this day ends, I want you to do something different. I want you to pause for a few moments and remember something that is easy to forget. God has carried you through every day of your life so far, every difficult season, every disappointment, every mistake, every unanswered prayer, every moment you thought you wouldn't make it. You're still here. That doesn't mean life has been easy. It doesn't mean every prayer was answered the way you hoped. It doesn't mean you haven't cried, struggled, doubted, or felt lost. But it does mean that God has never abandoned you. Sometimes we become so focused on what's missing that we forget what God has already done. We focus on the door that hasn't opened, the opportunity that didn't happen, the relationship that ended, the plan that fell apart. And while we're looking at what didn't happen, we miss all the ways God has quietly protected us. There are things God kept from you that you'll never fully know about, conversations you never heard, problems you never saw, situations that could have harmed you, paths that looked good but would have led you somewhere painful. God's protection isn't always obvious. Sometimes it looks like a closed door. Sometimes it looks like a delay. Sometimes it even looks like disappointment. But many of the things we call setbacks today become reasons for gratitude tomorrow. That is why faith is so important. Faith is trusting God before you have all the answers. It's believing He is working even when you cannot see the results. It's choosing hope when circumstances suggest otherwise. Maybe today was a difficult day for you. Maybe someone disappointed you. Maybe you're carrying stress nobody knows about. Maybe you're worried about your future. Maybe you're tired of waiting. If that's where you are right now, hear this clearly. God sees what you're carrying. You do not have to explain your pain to Him. You do not have to convince Him that your struggle is real. He already knows. Psalm 139 reminds us that God knows us completely. He knows our thoughts before we speak them. He knows our fears before we admit them. He knows the battles we fight behind closed doors. Nothing about your life surprises Him. And because nothing surprises Him, nothing is beyond His ability to handle. The situation that feels impossible to you is not impossible to God. The uncertainty that keeps you awake at night does not confuse Him. The future that feels unclear to you is already known by Him. That doesn't mean every problem disappears immediately. Sometimes God changes circumstances. Other times, He changes us while we walk through them. Sometimes the miracle is the answer. Other times, the miracle is the strength to keep going. And if we're honest, some of the strongest people are not the ones who never struggle. They're the ones who keep trusting God in the middle of the struggle. The ones who continue praying when answers seem delayed. The ones who continue believing when evidence is limited. The ones who refuse to give up. Maybe that's exactly what you needed to hear before this day ends. Not that everything will be perfect tomorrow. Not that every problem will disappear overnight, but that you can keep going, that God is still with you, that this season will not last forever, that your story is not finished. It's easy to think that a difficult chapter means a difficult ending, but chapters are not endings. They are simply parts of a larger story. And God sees the entire story. He sees what is coming next. He sees the growth happening inside you. He sees the lessons being learned. He sees the strength being built, even when you cannot see it yourself. So before this day ends, let go of something. Let go of the pressure to have everything figured out. Let go of the belief that you must carry every burden alone. Let go of the fear that God has forgotten you. He hasn't. He never will. The Bible tells us that God's mercies are new every morning. Think about that for a moment. Not every month, Not every year, every morning. Each new day is another reminder that God has not given up on you, another reminder that His grace is still available, another reminder that hope is still alive. Tomorrow may bring answers, or it may bring more waiting. But either way, God will be there, just as He was yesterday, just as He was today, and just as He will be for every day that follows. So before this day ends, take a deep breath. Thank God for bringing you this far. Thank Him for the victories you remember and the protections you never saw. Thank Him for the prayers He answered and the ones He answered differently. And if you're struggling to find the words, that's okay too. Sometimes the simplest prayer is enough. God, I'm here. Help me trust you. That prayer has carried many people through difficult seasons, and it can carry you too. As this day comes to a close, remember this: you are not forgotten. You are not abandoned. You are not walking through life alone. God is still working. God is still guiding. God is still writing your story. And no matter what today looked like, His faithfulness will still be there when tomorrow begins. Rest well, trust Him, and let your heart be at peace.